Hello everyone. Today we're going to see the game Esipenko against Sindarov Javakir from the round number 1 candidates 2026, and I decided to watch the games because I couldn't find anyone who share useful points and except of course Hikaru, but Hikaru doesn't cover all the games, and I couldn't find any good commentaries, so I decided to analyze games by my own, and here we go. Let us see something critical. All the normal stuff. C5, it's already committed decision, and we can see the pawn structure. It was kind of correspond structure. If place is 6 in this case, there are pawn breaks b4 and pawn break c4 from the white side, but after c5 black decides to use this pawn break to basically gain more space and to make pieces more active. So the possible structures is isolated pawn structure here, and another pawn structure c4 was what was in the game. Another possible structure again is isolated pawn and symmetrical structure. So already a few structures can appear from that, and moreover even hanging pawns structure can appear sometimes in these positions. All of them we need to anticipate and know how to play. Okay, continue. bd3. It's final, and now we move to c4 structure. This is already very interesting because it's not symmetrical structure, and the black has more space to push pawns on the queen side, and when we push the horse, black can get more control over e4 square and d5 square. The horse can protect and attack these important central squares if black can achieve b4, but white as compensation gain potentially pawn breaks b3 and e4 and possibly play e5 f4 f5. Another way to play these positions is to put piece on e5 and play f4 g4 attacking the king. The most unpleasant idea is b3 at the right moment, because after c4 d5, after c5 d5 is permanently weak, and after c4 d5 is really a weak pawn, and the structure which white dream to get is b3, bc, bc. When knight on c3 blockades c pawn and simultaneously attacking d5, and after pawn break e4, c4, e4 are weak. So this is the dream structure to be aware of in these types of positions. Also, of course, ideas with e4, ideas with knight e5 f4, all exist, mainly d5 is main weakness, and main pawn breaks are e4, b3, rarely a4. From the black side, pushing p, very simple by the way to play as black, push the p and gain more control over e4, d5, and basically both players will try to prevent each other ideas, like prevent b3 ideas and bc, bc structure, and prevent e4 idea with getting control over the center. bc2, e9 on h7. Another idea is possible direction for the bishop is attacking d5. but now probably control over the e4 square and e4 potential e4 pawn break, and with e5 bishop is still very much in the game, so it has huge potential. Okay, knight h5. Yeah, if white can comfortably play h3, and all these ideas are whites have more pawn breaks, and it is easier to miss something, and it can become very pleasant and simple position. So knight h5 is a normal move, trying to get bishop pair, but yeah, but the drawback, now less pieces are controlling d5 and d4, important squares in the position. b5, and the idea is to trap the horse, I guess, and d5 is weak. bg3, f5. So he doesn't take knight takes g3, which is also very interesting structure, because now one of the drawbacks, h5 is open, but black has h4 pawn break, and this course does not control central squares e4 and d5, but and this bishop has potential to attack h2, but again only potential, because with this structure, like let me say, oops, bg3, f5, yeah, instead of, oh, I cannot see it, yeah, in this structure this bishop is a little bit sad, because it's simply watch the pawns, but yet it has potential if at the right d4 still pawn break, d5 still weak, b3 still possible pawn break, but it's interesting. It could be very interesting pawn structure, and still very interesting game. Yeah, this structure allows sometimes pawn break h5, h4, maybe even g5, f5, and 4 can be possible. But probably I misleading you, because obviously black has a huge advantage on the queen side, and there is no any you should not even watch the king side in these positions. Like, if you have clear advantage on the queen side and you are looking for some stupid attacks on the king side, which it's very bad idea. Of course, you have to push b on the queen side. You have disadvantage then. Okay, f5 he played, which is good. Yeah. b5. Yeah, there is some comments like b5 is it was possible to play queen e5 and pressure on d5 pawn. I mean knight e5, queen f3. It's trying to attack weaknesses, and there is some x-ray, some hanging pieces still on this diagonal. But I also like b5 here. b3, and basically I want to play b3 when I can actually get this structure with horse on c3, and there is some ideas to bring rook to b5, and maybe another horse to f4, bishop to f3. Yeah, well, like it's maybe not realistic, or just play for f3, e4, and we can c4 attack d5 somehow. But more importantly, if we can neutralize, we can get this structure, black no more have b5, b4, and it's just nice position, because white can play e4, white can regroup pieces to attack d5. Yeah, But of course, both players are aware of it, but I just want you to know typical ideas, typical pawn structures here, yeah, which can appear queen e5. Of course, he doesn't want to get any way this structure. He just pushing p. I mean, I obviously don't like b3. I would prefer to keep it, but maybe I misunderstand something. Yeah, but I don't like this move because I want to keep it for the right moment, and the threat is better than execution. Maybe it's not as simple to play. h3, 95, 95. He has a 4 additional pawn break, and this bishop can become a beast. Also b5, b4 all the time tactically. If there is no this bishop, I mean, because this one may hang. It's very interesting position. 25, 92, and that's not what I really like because knight on c3 blockades c pawn. Yeah. And now bc dc is this diagonal open, and these pawns can move forward, which is not what white wants. But the next moment is quite interesting position now appears. Like this monster bishop on a5, attacking g7, potential for a little potential for this bishop with g4, open e file. Now when pawn move to f4, there is rook lifts potential somewhere, maybe something interesting. Yeah. Which all of that takes together. I know from the commentaries, Engine doesn't like this position for white, but objectively black has not many tactical ideas. Yes, black has clear majority on the queen side, and position is solid, but if we talk about tactical powers, if there is some hanging pieces on e file, there is some tactical potential here, there is some rook lifts and sacrifices like knight g5 at the right moment, and rook leaves and queen is coming. There is also some tension, bc dc d5, possible tension, the fork, and bc is still pretty damn cool for white. a4 open, b5 open, and d5 is weak. I mean, yeah, I mean, white really have practically, in my view, and I may be wrong, but very good position tactically. Yes, because white has multiple ideas, and black have to be aware of all of them. Like maybe something happened on e file, maybe something happened on b file or d5 potential, or knight g5 or g4. All if there are multiple tactical ideas simultaneously, it can be very nice. But the drawback, this bishop is very, very sad. It's restricted by the pawns, and if white has no tactical solution for this bishop, it's really just very sad piece. But maybe there is some possibilities to regroup it to after bc attack it from a4. Maybe there is some possibilities with g4 open up this bishop, and maybe some possibilities to bring this bishop to desirable place where it can hit d5 and regroup the knight, but it's too long. Like attacking d5, f5, and attacking d5, and if bc some tactical possibilities, knight c4, d5, open up everything, but again, it will take a lot of time. Yeah. h4, maybe right, maybe. I mean, it looks logical because supports to knight g5, but after h4 there is no h3 g4 pawn break, and there is not that clear we can play rook h3 at some point tactically. Yeah, it's quite. If I can a little bit wait with h4, even if I need this move, I would prefer to wait because I want my opponent to see rook h3, rook g3, all these ideas simultaneously, g4, evaluate h3, g4 from my side all the time, and yeah, I want my opponent to see as many possible multiple ideas which I can play, and in this case I will win a lot of time and most likely more opportunities for my opponent to make mistakes. I don't want to commit my pawns. If I can, do not commit it. h4, h6. There is still rook leaves, rook g3, rook h3. An example, sacrificed the horse, and there is dynamic potential still for the pawn, like something like rook g3, queen h5, yeah, like bishop h5, rook g7 at some point if there is something, yeah, or all these kinds of ideas. But yeah, it's something for opponent to be aware of, something to be something to try, but there's 95, of course, yeah. It's not much because this pawn always controls this, but not always. If there is right time, and for d5, for bc, bc, ba4, there is weak diagonal where multiple pieces. So this and this are very interesting diagonals for the potential for this bishop. So g3, again, I don't like to move pawns if I don't do that because now less options. Additionally, yes, king g2, rook h1 here, and bring another rook, but if this rook comes here, this rook cannot come here. It's a little bit sad, and the king here is vulnerable because of this diagonal. Always vulnerable, so it's not really good square for the king. Yeah, but understandable idea to try to add one more rook to the attack, but eliminates this rook, eliminate g3 square. So yes, there is knight e5 all the time, but the point is this knight kind of must stay and protect, kind of protect e5 square in case I move to attack g7. Yes, so all the time try to be aware of this bishop, and it's kind of restricting this knight. Also, this is the problem, and this is potentially also the problem, d5, like bishop on the horse on one forkable square, yeah. And of course, it's nice to be able to play at some point rook d1, draw back this diagonal weaken, but it can add way more dynamic potential to this pawn. One of the ideas is to put rook on b1 because it's kind of attacking b6, b5 squares. I mean b6 square if he plays a6, takes rook b6, and also bc if he plays dc, rook takes b5. Kind of waiting move, but this is clear drawback of that, and I cannot play a4 activate rook from the initial position anymore. Yeah, that's not that simple, of course. That's not that simple. That's why they are super grandmasters. It's not that like I can make obvious move and play easy game. Yeah. But yet, this horse is also kind of tied to e5 square. If he takes knight e5, I don't want to take with the rook, with the pawn or the pawn. I want to take with the horse most of the time. Yeah, it's not that easy to clearly say I can just rearrange my pieces, like to bring, let's say, knight on a tree and to get something, rook to g3 or h3 and rook to h1, and yeah, it's not that simple, or double, or create triple stack and get something, because if we create triple stack, there is this pin drawback. If we create, if we put here, there is some problems with this square, and this rook is not clear where to put. This has drawback this, and it cannot activate the rook from the a1 square also. Move horse elsewhere, but if I move horse, he can play knight e5, and that is also questionable. Quite balanced. Yeah, quite balanced position. And very hard to find how to really make improving moves. That's why moves like g3 appears, but I would prefer to still keep tension and make some waiting moves, because I want opponent to see boogeyman. Sure. Maybe some tactical explosion and to create more hanging pieces, like this idea bc ba4 is clear, but this c something has to be here, like attacking all these pieces, all the 6th rank. If you neutralize it, maybe there is some hanging pieces on e6, maybe e7. Yeah, maybe this is the way to do something, but it's similar happened in the game. Oh, there is the comment. So there was important to play queen b1. The idea is basically to tie pieces to f5 weakness, which is nice. I didn't see it. And attacking b5 is kind of double attack, and it's not easy to see because it blockades, self-blockade the rook. But if white wants to play a4, it makes sense. Oh, queen b1, a6, and the idea is to play h5, not a4. bt1 and a4 eventually, which is hard for me because, an example, if I play queen b1, I want to play a4 right away, because I don't want my rook to stuck on a1 square. I mean, there is no b3 bc. Yeah, it's quite concrete. Yeah, it's quite concrete. There is no b3 bc. Yeah. Of course, I don't want to keep my rook on a1 for long, blockaded by my queen. But it's possible. But it's kind of computerish unless you go in the position deeper, like play queen b1, h5, and let your rook stay on a1 square for a few moves. Yeah, but that's good nuances. Okay, g3. a6 solidify the position. b5 no longer hanging pawns like this and these ideas. King g2. There is some potential on this diagonal always, and now bc less and less possible. Like I don't really like king on g2, but it allows rook h1, which also creates more tactical tension here. bf7, it's a good move. Yeah, obviously black wants to hit this diagonal and pin the horse. More tactical potential here. of course I don't like queen on d2, but there is queen e2 is worse, and there is not good squares for the queen. There are not many good squares for the queen. a4. Okay, just pawn break and basically activate the rook, and that more tactical potential on e file, because rook potentially can decoy opponent's rooks. It's quite nice. But this one is set. Yeah, this one is set. bf5, interesting idea, because d4 is weak, and now this one and this one, all of that is attacking, and a lot of tactical potential already from the black side, because d4 is clear weakness. This so tension also can bring some positive exploits, and rook takes c5 can be just crushing idea with bb6, because everything is already yeah, very quickly black got a lot of tactical potential too. bt1 on pin and overprotecting f3. After takes, there is some pressure on d5, which helps to survive. Bishop takes f3. I said it was a mistake. Yeah. Take his mistake. Yeah, bring. Yeah, he probably miscalculated something like bb6, and with all this pressure here, seems very promising for black. But maybe it's better to keep tension, which is more natural, because this bishop is still have huge potential. King, queen, horse, all on the white squares, and this bishop is very sad unless it can clearly target something. It's very, very sad. Yeah, he probably was thinking he has something here already clear. And there is some counter chances, counterplay, and it's immediately just very, very quickly game went to the opposite direction with e5. It was predictable. And queen c6 attacking diagonal, which is logical, and maybe some potential if king goes to the square, but it's self-pin. Queen c6, there is some dynamic potential d4. Some potential with this, but there is self-pin, which is set. Yeah, and the queen b7 is set, queen g6. Kind of double attack, putting pressure on the hanging piece, putting pressure on g7, and yeah, it's set. And bc7, rook e3, yes, well, the idea was very promising position for white. Yeah, the question is, can I push? Yeah, this is very sad position, because I mean bc7, rook e3, this horse is trapped and not connected with the bishop. I mean, it cannot go anywhere. There are no squares. That's why it's set. And that's why basically bc7 is not natural move to make. Queen b7 is of course natural move, but it fails tactically, and that's why he played queen c6, because of the process of elimination. I don't think bc7 is and self-trap the horse is a human move, but I may be wrong. It's very hard to make a move here. Very, very hard. Yeah, and I clearly see how can I play queen c6 myself, because I defend g6 and attack diagonal, and I still trying to keep things together. But yeah, I also could blunder in this way. bc, finally this pawn break works here with idea bf3. If trades off everything, b5 hangs, b6 hangs. And now the diagonal open. Finally, this bishop alive, which is f2 is always weak. I mean, f2, f7 are always weak from the beginning to the end of chess game. Even if it's protected 3 times, remember f2, f7 is always weak. This will help you to win many games, effortlessly, because if you understand like this, you will just see everything simpler and quickly. Yeah, overload here, queen defending b6, defending f8, and the horse trapped, which is very bad. ba7, something like knight c2, knight e6, knight c6. No, it's nothing works here. Queen e6 all the time. Is it? No, there is some checks. Knight c2 doesn't work. Why? Just come back. Yeah, and the horse hangs. Rook b6. Oh my god, what am I smoking? Rook b6. And yes, now it's see the queen, c overload. Cannot protect everything. Repeat couple of times, and finally this bishop won the game. This horrible, horrible bishop become alive and become decisive.